Alright, so quick caveat right now, we're going to be doing a little bit of the old world. Kind of talking about unit breakdown of the Warriors of Chaos and how they played on the tabletop. However, I was not a competitive player. I played for fun. Haven't played competitively in years since it's been dead. So, keep my commentary subjective, like everything. So, if I'm wrong and you think I'm wrong, then maybe I'm wrong in your opinion. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I just like playing fun games. Alright, everybody. Let's freaking do this. So, I put the army quirks over here. Sorry, I wanted to do kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll make it look a little more easy on the eyes. So, Warriors of Chaos had some really cool rules. They had Eye of the Gods, so if you had a champion, he had the challenge. There was no ands, if, or buts about it. He was going to go in there, challenge your champion. You got to pick, unless certain people were playing. If he won, he had to roll on the Eye of the Gods. If you rolled double ones and you failed a leadership test, you became a spawn. If you rolled double sixes and then rolled a 4, 5, or 6 after, you became a demon prince. Then you had demonic attacks, which were considered magical attacks. Chaos armor was a 4-up armor save. And you actually had the marks of the gods. So, Nurgle made you -1 to hit. Tzeentch increased your ward save. Khorne gave you rage. And I'm actually not sure what Slaanesh did a whole lot. Made you automatically pass fear and terror checks. Yeah, so 5 points upgrade for that one, I'm pretty sure. Not worth it, in my opinion. You would have thought they would have had always strikes first, but I don't know. I guess not. Screw Slaanesh, right? So here we go. Magic items that the Hellfire Sword sort of changed. Filth Mace, Helm of Many Eyes, Skull of Katem. Chalice of Chaos is like my favorite to take on like a quirky list. You roll a die and then you get the effects of that bonus for, I believe, that round. And you could get a Demon Prince on a 6. Penniless Slaanesh, Blasted Standard. Banner of Rage allowed you to maintain rage if you lost combat. So, say you lost combat but didn't run, your Mark of Khorne became useless. And then you just had no rage anymore. But that allowed you to keep it. So, I don't know. I took the War Banner for the most part. So when a lot of people run their armies, they tend to run different marks throughout, and Nurgle was like really big. So the -1 to hit, you know, most people are hitting you on 4s, now 5s. That wasn't my preferred way. I really always like Khorne. With Tamurkhan or when I played Nurgle, I try to go like with monsters and like big things and kind of have fun with it. I'll be honest, the Hellfire Sword sucks. Tried it a few times on my Chaos Lord, did not work. I'll take the Sword of Bloodshed, just get 3 extra attacks. But yeah, pretty much the Skull of Katem's pretty cool. So yeah, the bearer of the Skull of Katem can choose to consult it before attempting to channel power dice. If he does so, roll 6 dice instead of 1. If the bearer consulted the Skull of Katem, he suffers -1 penalty to leadership. And if you go to 0, you die. And you may not reroll channeling results of 1 when using the Skull of Katem if you're Marcus Tzeentch. And now we will come, boom. So the lores of magic were fairly interesting. Tzeentch was gimmicky, but you had the Warp Flame special rule. Nurgle I liked the most. Mostly because of Miasma of Pestilence and Blades of Petrification. Those 2 spells were freaking awesome. And actually, I feel like Slaanesh had some pretty strong lore. I mean, it's gimmicky. A lot of it gives you always strikes first or screws the opponent over. But honestly, I think Nurgle comes out as chief here. What's your opinion? I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really messed around with Slaanesh at all with 8th edition. And then Khorne, actually, in Storm of Magic had a pretty cool gimmick. If you were playing against another Chaos player, you had to have no wizards on your side, and you had to be all Khorne. And say, like, one of the wizards perilled, Khorne hurled a brass skull, and I think they had to take a strength 6 hit. Just gimmicky for fun. They kind of balance out. I don't think it did, but, you know, hey, who are we kidding here? So, that brings down the army quirk. So, let's bust into the unit profiles. Again, an abridged version, if you will. So, we're coming up in here. Unit profiles. Boom. So, build an army. So, when you made a fantasy army, we'll go into the Lords and Heroes next. You had to have a minimum of 25% core, special of up to 50%, and your rare could be up to 25%. Now, notice special and rare up to, not exceeding, so a little caveat with that. Core, though, for Warriors of Chaos is really good. and I don't see why you wouldn't take more of the core in this army. For most armies, you'll fail out just to 25%. You wouldn't want to exceed it too much because the meat and potatoes is really in the special and the rare. But I would argue that Warriors of Chaos are like, even their crappy Marauder is still something other armies would like to dream of in their army. It's still pretty beefy. So without further ado, let's break down the core. So we got core units. What's good? Chaos Warriors. Freaking stat Gs, 2 attacks, 3 on the Aspiring Champion if you take one. 4s across the board. So strength 4 is -1 to your armor save. So they're already subtracting from that heavy armor or light armor and just kind of reducing you to nothing. I dig them. You can equip them with additional hand weapon. You can equip them with a shield. You can equip them with great weapons. You can equip them with halberds. Halberds is at initiative +1 strength, but you won't get the parry save. Hand weapon and shield give you a 6-up parry save. The way that works, you make your armor save, and if that fails, you get your 6-up parry. Additional hand weapon allows you to poop out another attack and just start going ham on the enemy. And great weapon, that's when you got to really take down something you ain't messing around with. That +2 strength puts you at strength 6, which is -3 to their armor save. Most things will have a ward save, but you do get screwed a little with always strengths last. However, the reward's worth the risk sometimes. Sometimes you want something gone, and there's nothing better than a Chaos Warrior with a great weapon to deliver that sentencing that you've dished out to them. Marauders. Now, Marauders are interesting. They have a special place in my heart. Over the years, I've tweaked a little bit of them or made house rules, but mostly just to fit give them an additional hand weapon. Or they're pretty trash. I'm not gonna lie. They're not bad, but they're trash compared to the army. There's things you can do, like give them Mark and Nurgle and just put a big brick of 50 of them together and blob them up and tell people deal with this. Hold them in while you flank them or take the rear, whatever is up your boat. You can definitely make good use of them. I just like the Warriors. They eat up points. I can make a horde of 40 of them and deal with that. Forsaken. So Forsaken actually are affected by their marks differently, which is pretty freaking sweet. So I slept on them for a long time. I wish I would have got the models because they're gone now. But Forsaken are in heavy armor, which, real quick, Chaos Warriors used to be heavy armor in 6th and I believe 7th edition. I didn't play much of 7th. But Chaos Warriors used to be heavy. They used to be only a 5-up armor save with a shield putting them at a 4. But when they got this book, they went up to Chaos Armor. Pretty much, in my opinion, making Chosen worthless. Because that was like the big thing with Chosen. They had that 4-up armor save. So, Chaos Warriors are really... I don't believe they belong in core, but they are freaking huge when it comes to whooping butt. But anyways, Forsaken had that little nod back to 6 that I love and enjoy. And I wish I would have picked up some of them. They're cool. They look goofy. Honestly, their artwork, so misleading. It's like when you go on those dating profiles and you see the person and then it's like in real life they're not that. That's half the artwork for these models. Chaos Warhounds, good fast cav. I used them to kind of harass or try to go for war machines. They're not going to win the game, you know. You can give them venom or poison attacks, which is pretty cool. Again, Chaos Chariots. So the nice thing is, with the Chaos Chariots and the Marauder Horsemen, it allows you the option to run an all-cav army, which I have done. So a few years ago I called it the Corn Hiram. It's a play on words, I know. I'm an idiot. And it was pretty much just like 2 units of 10 Marauder Horsemen, some Chaos Chariots, some Gorp Beast Chariots, 2 units of 10 Chaos Knights, and 2 units of 6 Skull Crushers of Khorne, with a Lord of Khorne on Jug, everything Mark of Khorne. And that army was awesome. It completely wrecked face, and it was beautiful. My buddy played a lot of Undead at the time, and they just rickrolled. It was great. The Juggernauts of Khorne were just unstoppable. But yeah, anyways, so it is possible with these 2 options to run an entire Cav army, and I would recommend it if you're looking to have fun and you want to like add or just have fun. All Cav armies are the way to go. Now they're not as good as like you would think, but they're fun. And if you can even hoard them up too. So up to you if you want to invest into that. All right. So specials and the boo-boo. You know what's boo-boo up in there. Hellstriders of Slaanesh. I haven't touched them. I haven't seen them used. I've never gone against Hellstriders of Slaanesh. So I can't really talk a whole lot about their practicality. But what I can say is they're stat-wise, they're Marauders on a freaking Fiend of Slaanesh. And honestly, when you look at all the special you can get, I would take everything over a Hellstrider of Slaanesh because it eats up points. And when you come into them, they're 19 points in model, which is fairly expensive in my opinion. They do have armor piercing on the steed, demonic attacks on the steed, so demonic attacks are magical, so if you're going against ghosts, like, get wrecked. Eye of the Gods, Fast Cav, Fear, Marcus Slaanesh, Poison attacks, Soul Hunters. I don't know. I never used them. I probably wouldn't use them. That's just my thing. But if you're looking for an all Slaanesh army, freaking sweet, because they don't really have much in terms of individually unique minis at this point in time in the game. Now, Chosen are where we get interesting because they had potential to not suck, and they do. And they don't suck because they're bad minis. No, there's a big place for them and some lists you can run with War Shrines and Chosen and try to get that Eye of the Gods going. However, you're looking at 18 points a model to their counterpoint of a Chaos Warrior, which is 14 points. Now, what do those 4 points buy you? They buy you an extra weapon skill. Now, if you wanted to run Marauders and just thin your core to super cheap Marauders and Warhounds, I would say Chosen are pretty good because their weapon skill is 6. Chaos Knights. Now, these are bad. These are the bad boys here. Looking pretty good. I always run a command with them, and I always run them in 10 because 5 just isn't enough when you charge somebody. Cavalry took a kind of a big hit in 8th edition. The way I circumvent hordes is we play with a lot of terrain on our table. So you don't see a lot of hordes in our games because I like seeing a table full of terrain. I've spent the last 3 years just painting tons of terrain. Me and my kids make our own terrain out of the old terrain how to build books, which I'll be doing a video on probably here next week. So Chaos Knights for me are kind of fun. They're quick, they're barding, so they're -1 of their movement, making them 7 inches. But they also have Swift Stride, so they're still rolling 3d6, picking the 2 highest when they charge. I dig it. Mark and Nurgle again gives them that survivability, and they can take ensorcelled weapons, which is +1 strength, and magical attacks. So get wrecked, Spirit Hosts. Yeah, you know who I'm talking to. Those undead players. Those undead players that think that nothing can hurt them. Chaos is it's a unique beast. Because you're playing with an army that really can just dish out the pain. But, has no shooting. Except the Hell Cannon. Which still have magical attacks. But they are pretty susceptible to that. Even the Mark of Nurgle, as disgusting as it is, it's get wrecked if you don't get into combat. Because if you're going against Dark Elves, repeater crossbows exist. Bolt throwers exist. And it ain't looking good for you. Empire, handgunners, the bane. So it's not like you can just take one mark and just pretty much I win. You have to get there, which is the hard part here. A personal favorite of mine are Chaos Ogres. Okay. They are not what they used to be. So previously, we talked about how the Warriors of Chaos had heavy armor and went to Chaos armor. Now, the Chaos Ogres went from Chaos armor, which is a 4-up, to heavy armor, which is needed because they were a little bit too strong before. Now, you can convert your own, you can make your own, you can print your own, you can buy your own, you can just buy ogres and say they're Chaos Ogres. A lot of people buy the Marauders shields and put them on the gut plate, and voila, you got yourself a conversion. I had some old Minotaur arms from when I did Minotaurs, and I would take the weapon bits and smash them onto the new ogres, do some green stuff, and take Marauder gut plates and just kind of make my own. So that is a possibility for you as well. And honestly, you get 1 box of the freaking brutes. The brutes, not the bruisers. And you can make your own, and they're still in production. So sweet. Dragon Ogres has been one I always kind of disagreed with. I always kind of felt like Dragon Ogres didn't need to be a thing in the Warriors of Chaos because they already have the Skull Crushers of Khorne, unless you don't want to mess with a god-specific unit. I really do think they should have stayed with the Beastmen because the Beastmen get shafted. We'll cover them later on. But yeah, I do believe Dragon Ogres should have been a Beastman unit. They're good. They're buffed. Scaly skin. I believe you have 5 up. Storm of Rage. Pretty cool special rule. And then because their initiative's so low, I always give them great weapons for that +2 strength. And you know they're not bad. They're not bad. They do what they meant to do. If you're not hitting a flank with them or hitting a monster with them, you're gonna get wrecked. Moving on to Chaos Trolls. They look cool. The old pewter models are nostalgia bait. Don't pay those prices way too much. I'm sure they'll bring them back cheaper. Fingers crossed. Since we're getting pewter models again in the old world. Anyways, Fear, Regeneration, Stupidity, Troll Vomit. So Troll Vomit's cool. Regen is great unless it's a flaming attack. And then Stupidity, take a leadership check. If you fail it, you're too stupid to move or do anything. And with them being leadership 4, you're going to want them within that inspiring presence of your general. 35 points a model, pretty pricey, not super duper worth it, but can lead to a thematic army when we talk about named heroes. So they actually have Throg, who can make him a core choice. So if you want to run a monster army, it's doable. My personal favorite here, the Chimera, the Fiend Tail, flying 12 inches, looking good. A large target, scaly skin 4 up and causes terror. If you fail that terror check when you get charged, you book it. You're cowarding up, which is dope. Now, what makes this thing badass is you can get some upgrades. Flaming Breath for 30 points. I like it. It doesn't ever work for me because I suck at rolling, but whatever. Regenerating Flesh, which it gives it survivability. And Venomous Ooze, which, I mean, is 15 points, one up by. It's all pretty decent stuff. I like the Chimera. It gives you a nice, nasty little monster. You flying around, and it is something that takes the heat off of your troops if someone has shooting. Next is one of my favorite chariots, the Gorbeast Chariot. The Gorbeast Chariot's a really interesting model. I love it. I use it as a mount for my Sorceress of Nurgle, and it has a really cool special role called Gorbeast Charge, which have all impact hits have killing blow. So get wrecked, anyone that freaking doesn't like that. It's a cool model, all right? It's 130 points to its counterpart, which I believe is 110. I don't want to give you wrong information, so yeah, 110. Yeah, so for 20 more points to get that killing blow on the charge. And the Gorbeast weapon skill is 4, which is actually pretty freaking good. Movement 6, however. But dude, who cares? You come in with that swift stride and you're going to be impact hitting someone with killing blow. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Now we move on to the Chaos War Shrine. Chaos War Shrine is really interesting. You can take it as a mount for some. You know, honestly, the little dudes on the bottom are pretty useless. It's D6 plus 2. I always roll 1s and 2s. And then on top, you get Favor of the Ruinous Power, so you can take someone and you can roll on the Eye of the Gods table. Again, you couple that with Chosen, where they are allowed to do that because they're chosen. They can roll on that Eye of the Gods. You get some buffs. You start seeing them have a chance of getting that Demon Prince, which I think is like a quirky way to get them. You try to go for the DP, and just, you know, apotheosis his butt right to your enemy's face. Demon Princes we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, so that's really it. I like the way they look. I think they're fun, and I think if you're looking for a fun, cool thematic army, take the Chaos War Shrine. Convert your own too. I mean, there's so much you can do with it. And now we're gonna move on to my favorite, the rare. Now, I like how I held up my microphone that's freaking right here in front of me. Hell Cannons. Hell Cannons are your only chance of shooting. 210 smackaronis. And it's a monster. You have to cage its fury. If you fail that, that thing goes and it does whatever it wants to do. It can even eat a crew if you freaking misfire. So you got to be careful with that. It's causes terror and it's unbreakable. Doomfire. Yeah, so the Hell Cannon, even if you just get hit by the Doomfire special rule, you have to take a leadership check as if you're 25% down. And then also, if you misfire, you have your own little table, which is a little dope. Free at last. The demon breaks its bonds. 3d6 strength, takes d6 strength 5 hits within 3d6 inches. Schlurp, well, I think that's self-explanatory. Fizz, another self-explanatory one. The Hell Cannon fires great pulses of raw magic. All wizards, friend or foe, within 24 inches must immediately pass a leadership test or suffer a miscast. Ignore any instructions to lose dice from the pool. Any spells lost are determined randomly. Oof, no, that's a good reason to have it. You can go in there and it's random, but you know what? It's cool. It's cool. The Hell Cannon breaks its chains and rushes forward. So yeah, it runs and then boom, you explode. Yep. Doom fires shot as if it hit and had been rolled, doubling the strength of any hits to a maximum of 10. The Hell Cannon cannot fire for the rest of the game. At that point, you get a monster. So anyways, let's move on from that. Dragon Ogre Shagos, another unit that should be a Beastman unit, in my opinion. It's dope. It's cool. I love the model. To this day, I think the model holds up fairly well. Immune to psychology, so it's not going to be afraid of your terror check. It don't care. Large target, scaly skin, 5 up. The Storm Rage is another one. Terror is great. I like Terror. If someone else has a model that causes fear, however, it drops to fear. But most of us know that, right? I mean, if you don't, let me know, and I'll cover that in the basic rules. Maybe in the next video on Monday. So you can give it a great weapon or an additional hand weapon. Again, this one's got, like, initiative 4, so you can try the additional hand weapon. I would go with the great weapon. It looks cooler. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. My knowledge isn't too extensive with the Shoggoth. The Chaos Giant. Why would you not include a giant in your army is unbeknownst to me. They're derpy, they're funny, they're lame, but they're cool as heck. So you got to look at it from that. They have their own chart. They can trip over. They can freaking swing their mighty club and wipe out people. Doesn't happen that much. And honestly, if your friend's bringing a giant, you're playing bring a giant and just do a giant down. It can get pretty intense. You know, it's like the most anticlimactic battle you can have. I had my giant go against my buddies, and he tripped and died. So, worth the points. When you pay that 200 points, you can give him a mark too. So you can give him a 10 point mark for Khorne, 15 for Tzeentch or Nurgle, and 5 for Slaanesh because it sucks. So, he does cause terror, which is nice because if you charge somebody, they still got to take that leadership check. So even if you don't get there, there's a chance that they could still run, which, really gives it hope. Stubborn, and the armor save on this is non-existent. So if your friend is not fun, and he's not really your friend, he's going to take everything he can just to shoot the out of it, and that'll be the end of it. But remember, you can bring it if you're playing someone that's cool. Don't bring it if you're playing someone that just wants to crush you. Definitely not fun. Chaos Spawn. A lot of people don't like the Chaos Spawn. The Humble Chaos Spawn for me is an interesting thing. 50 points. It's an individual unit, which is cool because you don't have to worry about arcs and facings. 2d6 movement, very random. Weapon skill 3, strength 4, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 2, and I believe 2d6 plus 1 attacks. Yep. And then again, it benefits from the goodness of the marks. You can have Khorne for 5 points. Tzeentch is 20, Nurgle's 10, and Slaanesh is 10. Don't buy Slaanesh. And I'm pretty sure their marks interact with it a little bit differently. However, most of the time when my lord turns into a spawn, I'm pretty bummed. So I just, follow the basic rules with it and just play it off the stat line. I haven't taken the time to really get into taking them in the army a whole lot. Fun fact, I do use the Korgoroth as a chaos spawn in my Khorne army because it's cool. Goal Crushers of Khorne. A lot of people are like, I don't like these units. Dude, freaking run 6 of them. Give it full command. Charge and enjoy watching them just die, because that is the best way to do it. The Khorne Hero had 12 of these bad boys in the army with a general on Jug, and I couldn't think of any other way to run it. You got demonic attacks, so you know what? Get wrecked by magic. You can get in source of weapons plus 1 strength. Do they need it? Probably not, but they got it anyways. The Juggernaut itself is nothing to scoff at. I've had the Juggernauts pull their weight more than my dumb rider. So, I mean, if anything, you could just get rid of the rider and you have something more efficient. At the end of the day, though, definitely a must-take if you want something that's heavy-hitting. Points, expensive, 75 points a piece. And that's just before upgrades, but worth it at the end of the day. It depends. If you're going for cool, I say Skull Crushers. If you're not, and you're not running Khorne, and you're like stuck to a type of look, then do the Chaos Knights. They're good, but again, these eat up rare, so you can fill up your 50 points of special, and then be greedy and go over there in the cookie jar and start adding all this good stuff to it. Why limit yourself to not having such a dope cavalry unit? So anyways, you got those. The Slaughter Brute, you bind it to someone's weapon skill. He gets the weapon skill. People did it with Archaon, and they would have this gross monster. If your general dies, that Slaughter Brute don't care who's in charge. It's going to be pretty random. I personally had run one once. It took a cannonball to the forehead, courtesy of an Empire player. And that was the last time I ran it, because it always got shot to death. Mutalith Vortex Beast, another really cool model. If you're running a Z-Charmy, I would almost say, like, do it. However, again, it suffers from that syndrome. So if you're playing with a friend, totally go for it, because you can have so much fun with these big monsters. And that's really what fantasy is about. It's about getting all the good stuff on the table. Now that it's been dead, you can experiment a little bit more with a lot of the stuff. And especially with the Old World coming out, why wouldn't you? And that's pretty much it. That wraps up our units. Now let's continue. We are going to talk about the Lords and Heroes. So we're going to be getting into some beefy bad boys up in here. Chaos has probably some mean heroes. Now I won't say a whole lot, because Orcs and Goblins is coming out this Friday, and I think I want to spoil it on Wednesday. So we'll talk about it. We got the Name Lords, Name Heroes, Generic and Heroes, Generic Lords and Heroes, and you can have up to 25% in your army. So that's not 25% combined, that's 25% Lords, 25% Heroes. So it's not too bad. We move on over here. Name Lords. We're looking at Archaon, Galrach, Kolak, Suneater, Sigvald the Magnificent, Valkia the Bloody, and Village the Curseling. If you've played Total War Warhammer, you're familiar with some of these names. Probably all of them. Archaon, the big bad, coming in at a whopping 580 before you purchase the horse. Which I don't know why they did that, because it was just a Games Day model on foot. So that was a little bit ridiculous. 70 points for Dorgar. So he's pretty pricey. However, what this guy does on the table is unspeakable. He gets to make his own Chaos Knights into the Swords of Chaos with no mark, which makes them G tier. He gets to go through and have demonic attacks with Dorgar. He causes fear. It's the Strider. He don't give a crap about dangerous terrain. He's floating over it. Chosen of the Gods. Eye of the Gods. I don't think he can become a Demon Prince, though, or a Spawn. Lord of the End Times and the Swords of Chaos. Coming in, we all know his war gear from the game. The Slayer of Kings, the Armor of Morkar, the Crown of Domination, and the Eye of Sharian, which is disgusting. So, I'm not too familiar with him in Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar, he is pretty awesome if you guys play. But he is a pale shadow of what he was before. Because this dude went on the table. He didn't give a crap about none of your stuff. He got blessed by all the marks of gods. And he'd come in there and smack the crap out of you if he had to. It was disgusting. When you saw Archaon on the table, you knew that the person you were playing with was not your friend. Now, we'll move on. I don't personally play a lot with named heroes. They're cool, but I like making my own story. I'm really nerdy about it. So I like making my own story, my own generals, doing my own little campaigns. So named heroes kind of get in the way of that for me. But if you like named heroes or you like the lore, Archaon is your guy, because he's just the big bad. He's so freaking vicious that he created Age of Sigmar. No one else did that, so blame him. Galrach, we all know it was a mighty dragon by the High Elves. He was super awesome, and then a Zinj demon jumped in his mouth and he ate it, and his head split open, and now he has a migraine for the rest of his life. Suffers from stupidity, or Spirited Galrach, which is pretty much stupidity. You take a leadership check, you fail, and Galrach fights, and your player can use the dragon. He had the worst model. A buddy of mine had the pewter version. He pinned. Unfortunately, it dropped, it broke, and to this day, no matter what he's done, it has not gone together and stayed together properly. But don't rest not, because if you didn't like the pewter one, you always had the freaking Finecast one, which came out pretty trash. So you have a really big risk you're taking. Finecast is so hard to determine, because in the beginning, I don't believe they changed their molds from the pewter molds. So there's a lot of imperfections. So if you're looking for this model and you're looking on the EOP base, don't chance with the Finecast, because there's a big chance, even if it's new in box, that it's messed up. Go for pewter, or go for the fine cast box that doesn't have any of the art on it that GW may have released later in the future. So, yep, pretty decent. Darkfire of Chaos, Breath of Change, Fly, Large Target. You know, he got the Lore of Tzeentch, and he's a level 4 wizard, so you got some going on with that. Kolok Suneater, 545 points for a super big dragon ogre. Honestly, the Dragon Ogre Shaygoth model is what people use, but that's pretty boo-boo because he was huge. You're looking at movement 8, weapon skill 8 to Archaon's 9. Think about that. Ballistic skill 3, and strength 8, toughness 6, and the wounds were astronomical at a whopping 8 wounds. So you're dealing with a pretty beefy dude. You can honestly get any third-party model for this, in my opinion. I think Creature Caster does a Dragon Ogre Shaygoth proxy form. Worth it. If you have a 3D printer, you can always go to Colts and explore the options there. Next, we're looking at the pretty boy himself, Sigvald the Magnificent, Silverlash Auric Armor. Look, I'll be straight up. I never used Sigvald. I didn't play Slaanesh. If you like Sigvald, let me know. 375 points. You got that high weapon skill of 8, strength and toughness 5, and 3 wounds with initiative 8 and 5 attacks at leadership 10. Pretty beefy, pretty good. I'm just personally not a big fan of the Slaanesh, and I don't want to talk on something I'm not overly familiar with. Now, someone might ask, well, can I use the new model? Put him on a 50 and then put him in a unit and then have that base count for some of the warriors would be my thing, but good luck determining templates. I don't know. It's up to you. I would, but I have a pretty laid-back friend group that I play with. Valkia the Bloody, the Spear of Salpnir, Demon Shield, the Scarlet Armor. So we all know how she came about. She helped out Archaon. This is Khorne's little princess, if you will. Very much in terms of the Valkyrie in Norse mythology. She's pretty good. I like her. I'll throw her in a unit, and then I'll have her independently charge something I want to get rid of. And it'll either work or it won't. I haven't used her in quite some time, to be honest with you. So, like I said, it has their own gimmicks and quirks. Village the Curseling. I believe he actually steals your dice and saves them for his next phase. He's actually pretty interesting. You know, the brothers together. One was weak and one was a pathetic little worm. Prayed the Tzeentch and they got fused to his brother, slaughtered his village, took over the minds of his elite guard, and now they are his personal bodyguard. He, however, does not get to have that personal bodyguard in the game. You got to make it up, and there's no stat changes to it. The Magic Village the Curseling is a level 4 wizard and uses a spell from the Lore of Tzeentch. I think that goes without saying. Yeah, Vessel of Chaos, Eye of the Gods, the Lore Master, 380 points for a big wizard. Up to you if you want to run them. I think you can do a little more with the Chaos Sorcerer Lord in terms of magical items. But if you're going for thematic, go with Village. And that pretty much covers our named lords. Now, we got the named heroes, which are freaking awesome. Wulfric the Wanderer I've used on many occasions because he allows you to take the Sea Fang. We all know the Sea Fang allows them to reach those people that the gods want them to put down. And it's actually pretty cool. They come in reserves, they come in on a table edge, and they stand there and they get shot. But it does help. You take a big brick of 50 Marauders, show up on your opponent's table edge. Maybe he's got artillery there, and you destroy it, you know, and you destroy anything else. I've had it work a few times, and honestly, more than anything, it's just a nice little fun way to include Wulfric the Wanderer. Throg, I've ran twice, and it was an entire monster army. I got the utter crap beaten out of me, but it was fun. I ran a horde of 18 trolls. It was cool, it was fun, it was interesting. Throg was a blast. I would recommend it if you want to just run armies. I mean, they're already really points heavy, so you're filling up your core really quick. But for 195 points for a hero, you're really not going the wrong way. And the Wintertooth Crown, I believe, helps his leadership a lot. Packing a great weapon, so he'll have always strikes last, but that doesn't really matter because his initiative is only 2. And he's leadership 8, so that's great. Festus the Leech Lord. No idea. They fixed that with the end times and made him a lord. They made him empowered, which I think they should have because he is pretty cool. Festus the Leech Lord, was a doctor, and he couldn't solve a cure or disease, and he was all butthurt about it, so he gave his soul to Nurgle, and then Nurgle gave him the power to cure every disease, but it didn't matter because he no longer wanted to do the right thing. He had been corrupted, and now he only makes other diseases. You can see in this model where he force feeds people potions, and it sucks. So, don't get on his bad side. You got Stl Files. Alright, a big old Khorne Chaos spawn who is literally just a Chaos spawn of Khorne. He's got some good stuff. He has hatred, so he's rerolling his attacks in the first round of combat. 2d6 or d6 plus 2 attacks rather than 2d6. And the mark of Khorne with that rage. And the brass collar of Khorne allows him to be, I believe, magic resistance 5 up. I could be wrong. Now we got through that. The favorite named hero, Throg, takes the cake because he can take Trolls as core. Wolfric the Wanderer second, tied with Festus the Leech Lord, in my personal opinion, and Stl Files coming in last. Again, you may have your own way. Let me know in the comments below. Generic Lords and Heroes. So we got the Chaos Lord, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, up to 100 points of magical items, and they have Chaos Mutations, which they're allowed to take. It's not uncommon to see people put Soul Feeder on their Chaos Lord, and I believe Hideous Visage is one I use just for fun when I run Nurgle sorceresses or sorcerers. So they can take Chaos Mutation. Soul Feeder is a big one where you gain a wound back, I believe, on a 6 if you did a damage to somebody, which is good. And then up to, like I said, 100 points of magical items. You see a lot of Giant Blades, Talisman of Preservations, Dispel Scrolls. Take your pick. Personally, it gives you a lot of accessibility to make your own hero, and also it allows you to really push your creativity when making your own lord. You can take off the little mace on the Slaughter Priest and give him this big great weapon, and that's a giant blade, or give him the Sword of Bloodshed, or you can go through and take that new Curseling model and change it to a freaking Sword of Change. You can really do whatever you want to do with it. The world's your oyster, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. The Demon Prince, I never used it because it was good. If I had to play an event, I guess I would use it, but against my friends I wouldn't. I would just try to hope I got the roll in the Eye of the Gods, and I actually had it one game where I got 2 Demon Princes because of the Eye of the Gods table. You're looking at demonic attacks, demonic invulnerability, which I believe is a 5 up invul save. Terror, Unbreakable, Disgusting, unless it's Demonic Khorne, may take up to wizard levels, up to 4, 35 points per level. So you could make it a level 4 wizard on top of it. It could fly. It had Chaos Armor. So you're just looking at the beefiest, nastiest little dude you can bring out on the planet. And honestly, you're not wrong for doing it. Chaos Mutations and Powers, up to 100, and may take magic items worth up to 25 points. Now that's not something I knew, but very, very, very beefy. Weapon skill 9. So you're looking at that Arcane levels of weapon skill there. Strength 6, toughness 5, 4 wounds, initiative 8, 5 attacks, and leadership 9. He's a big, big chonker, and he's going to be going in and doing some damage. You give him Mark and Nurgle, good luck hitting him back. So, yeah, it's looking nasty. And then you have your Chaos. Okay, we already talked about that. So we go on to the hero section. So here you had the option. When I was starting off in fantasy back in the day, I was a little bit naive, and I didn't know that Battle Standard Bearer was an exalted hero. An exalted hero can be upgraded to a BSB, a Battle Standard Bearer, for 25 points. You can give it a banner. Most people went with the War Banner. It depends on what you're going for. You can take it. Say you want to run all Khorne army like me here. Put him on a Juggernaut, give him a BSB, put him in a big horde of Juggernauts, because you can, and give it give it any other banner you want to give it, and that banner will take effect on the whole unit. You can put on a horde of 40 Chaos Warriors. You can put it on your Marauders. The BSB is nice because you add 1 to your combat resolution. If you take the War Banner, you're adding 2. And then on top of it, you have some interesting quirks that you're able to knock out with it. Now, I believe you can take magic items. Some events didn't allow you to put magic items on the BSB, especially if you look over at Adepticon. Adepticon kind of still hosts a fantasy battle thanks to some of the community that put it on, but they do not allow you to put magical items on your BSB, so up to you if you want to look into that. Now, That's pretty much it about the Exalted here. He's pretty good. Like I said, I would make him a BSB. Maybe give him the Sword of Battle. You know, call it a day. And then you got your Chaos Sorcerer. A lot of times people take 2 Sorcerers if they're going to go. They'll take a Sorcerer Lord, and they'll take some little Peon Sorcerer and give him a Dispel Scroll to hold on to. Dispel Scrolls are for the weak. My thing is you know, get rid of them. Any item that's a must-take, don't take. And just explore and have fun with the setting. So, yep, Chaos Sorcerer can be upgraded to level 2. Wizard, not level 3 or 4, obviously. May take a mark, however, may not take the Mark of Khorne. I think we all know why. And 50 points for both the Chaos Lord or the Chaos Hero and the Chaos Sorcerer. So up to 50 points of magical items and not 100. So remember, you have to keep that within this restraints of 25% of your army points go to that, or may go up to that. So that's pretty much it. And then you have the mount. So you can take a assortment of different mounts of the Chaos Lord. You can take a Chaos Dragon, Chaos Steed, Demonic Mount, which I believe is better because it gets barding. The Disc of Tzeentch, Juggernaut of Khorne, a Manticore if you want to be fun, a Palanquin of Nurgle, Steed of Slaanesh, Gorby's Chariot, Regular Chariot, Chaos War Shrine. The world's your oyster, all right? So Chaos is really versatile and fun for that matter. Now, I believe we're going into the summary. Everyone, thanks for bearing with me. So, I guess here's the big thing. We're going to talk about what to expect. So, where to start, what to expect. Can you get a head start? Yes. So, if you're really interested in the Warriors of Chaos, we know they're getting a base update. So, they're probably going to be on 30s and or 28s. It's really up in the air right now. The nice thing is that their base size will be going up. So, say you want to get some minis, you have a little community that you want to start. Battlescribed is free. The rules are on there. They have an explanation for most of how to play if you don't have the rule book. The rule book can be found on Scribed, where you can download it, and they have a free 1-month trial to your Gmail if you've never used it. And most of the army books are on there, including some of the supplement books like Tamarcon and the Monstrous Arcanum and the Liber Chaotica, which 3 books I recommend reading. So yeah, you can definitely get down. GW makes the entire range, and they've gotten an update. They are a bit tricky, so build your first rank and file them, make sure they line up, then build your second and third. You can also jump in with the Hedonites of Slaanesh, the Disciples of Tzeentch, Slaves to Dankness, and the Blades of Khorne. But say you're like, I don't want to support Age of Sigmar Minis Tyrant. Okay, well, you don't got to. What you can do is there's other ways to 3D print your warriors. There's different alternatives out there. I leave it up to you and unto you on what you decide to do. Bases. You can find bases. If you have a printer, you're not going to have a hard time. You just print them. Say you don't have a printer. Go on eBay. There's a couple really good shops that sell them, and I'll put one of the ones that I use in the description below. And you'll be able to get any of your bases there. They are fantastic. And what can we expect from the old world with the Warriors of Chaos? So we're already told, and I quote, when Azavar Kul rises and becomes the 12th ever chosen, the power of Chaos will build again, but we won't see demonic servants or individual gods for a while yet. Demons, and especially demon princes, exist, the latter given power by the belief of the mortals that worship them as demigods. But whole legions manifesting in the real world are currently incredibly rare. So, what can we take from that? I think that there'll be a rough idea of a mark, right? And I don't believe we'll be seeing demons because obviously they're not on there. Which is interesting because Warriors of Chaos have gone a number of ways over the years, and it wasn't, I believe, till 7th edition. Again, I didn't play very much of 7th. That they separated Hordes of Chaos and into their own army books. With the old world, it's really all up in the air right now. I want to say that we'll see some marks. Who knows what the marks will be able to do. You can, however, still get down on the models and start building them. I am. And also, one last thing back to can you get a head start? You actually also can go on to Tabletop Simulator and download some of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles upgrades, and a lot of them have the rules and reference sheet and magical items and magic cards for you to view while you're in there. So, with that being said, I believe the old world is going to be very interesting. If you like the Warriors of Chaos lore, you want an elite army, you want to go in there and smack people around, and you don't like the shooting phase because it's for chumps, this army's for you. I can't see it changing when it goes in the old world. I think the same gimmicks will be the same way, given what we've learned about updated in terms of like the rules. It seems like they're going to kind of keep the themes of the armies similar. So heavy hitting, decent magic, elite, and more importantly, less models to paint. So I will recommend the Warriors of Chaos 10 out of 10 times. I've been playing them since 6th edition with my Orcs and Goblins, and they are a fantastic army. With that being said, a quick ending to this Friday, Orcs and Goblins lore video coming out for October, and we'll be doing their unit breakdown as well. So, everyone, I want to say thank you very much for putting up with this. I know it's a long video. I put a lot of time into the PowerPoint. I'm going to make some changes on the next one because I found things I could have done differently. And I want to say thank you all for your time. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday with the Orcs and Goblins. Everybody, peace!